Hello and welcome to Clydebridge Station. Now this is video number 72, and in this video we're going to be fixing a pet hate of mine, and it's the low relief rugby union ground across from the station. At the moment the rugby union ground has as its walling a few sets of Will's plastic corrugated iron with what I can only best describe as plasticard and a roof just stuck on for good measure. However, I've bought some stuff from Scale Model Scenery which is going to make it a lot better, and it's going to take me several days to do it, but by the magic of YouTube it'll only be done in this one video. I've got some Greyboard here, 1mm thick, and that's going to be useful for for putting on the Magnolia painted rendered wall. This will also do for making a sloping roof, and this felt roofing is going to be used on that roof. Roller shutter doors, there's a pack of 4 there, but I'm only going to need 2 of them, and that'll actually be where the turnstiles will be, but obviously these will be in the closed position. We've got laser cut lettering here, 2 sets, and you'll notice how small they are. They'll be painted red, same as the roller shutter doors, and the lettering will read Clydebridge Central Rugby Union Club. And that's the Gill Sans format. And we've also got here pedestrian railings with sight gap. They're going to be used along part of the road outside the ground, and any spares I'll actually put a couple outside the entrance to the station as well. They'll be painted in a silver grey colour. So the plan is that we're going to strip off the old walling on the rugby union ground, but we'll retain the Wrangler advert and the Slater's advert. They'll be put back up, and it'll be 2 layers thick of this grey board. Then we'll put the Magnolia sheeting on. Once I'm satisfied I've got that at the right depth, the roof will go on, and once that is done, that'll be left for a few days because this will be drying once it's made. These will be drying because they'll be getting painted, and these will be drying when they're getting painted. And once these are installed, they'll get installed, and that'll be installed, and then we'll have the adverts put back up. And I'm going to try and, rather than just have it a long blank wall all the way along, I'm going to have a couple of ridges coming out as well. I've looked at them on Street View at Starks Park on Pratt Street in Kirkcaldy, the home of Race Rover Soccer Club. And I believe I can use some of this greyboard to actually make little bits in the brickwork that are like pillars that will come out. We'll see how it goes anyway. The top of the greyboard will actually be painted white, by the way, and that'll allow the lettering to go on. So all in all, it's going to be a pretty interesting little project. One thing I've also ordered is a craft knife. That'll be useful for cutting the letters out and these out, and obviously for scoring the paper as well. I will not be doing a Justin Noble, I hope, and cutting my finger live on air. So without further ado, what we'll do is we'll get down to the shed and we'll show you what the rugby union ground is like right now, and then I'll get the camera turned off, strip it off and make a start. So this is us down at the shed now, and this is what's going to be getting taken off. These are going to be temporarily stored, they'll be put back on the new one, and I'll probably make a new fixture board up for there. Now, if I remember rightly, this was all glued on, so it should just be a case of prising it off. And obviously I've got to make sure I could hide these screws, so it's going to be a challenge, but hey, who doesn't love a challenge? Rugby players love a challenge. So I'll make a start on getting everything prized off, and hopefully I'll be able to get the greyboard put on. I'm going to be using Yoo-Hoo glue for this, by the way, and I must mention the stuff that I use, I'll provide links in the description. So if you fancy having a go at this yourself, in case you've got one in your back garden you want to do, then you'll be able to see what I've used. So I'll get on and get it stripped off. So there we go. That's what it's like now. So the next task I'm going to have to do is try and get the greyboard cut to size and on. Craft knife will be handy for that. I prized everything off using a flat-headed screwdriver. If you're going to use a craft knife, please be careful. So I've moved the road vehicles out the way now, and what I'm going to do as well is get the roof sorted. I believe I can actually do the roof on this visit. Other bits will have to wait for other visits. So we'll get on with that, and the greyboard will get cut to size. Notice the gap that's in there, so I'm going to be double layering it. You'll see what I mean. I'm just going to place this first bit in here for you. I know it's going to fall over because I've already tried it. Well, there you go. So that's the first bit. That's 2 bits of 1mm SMS greyboard glued together using Yoo-Hoo glue, and that'll sit just on there. That screw is a problem, so I'm going to have to work with that. Nothing I can do. So that'll sit on there and it'll get weighed on there, and if I can get that screw tightened in further, it would be a help. I'll have that other problem along here too. So that's what we've got there. Next thing to do is we'll get the Magnolia painted rendered wall onto this bit, and I have a little cunning plan for the top bit as well. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Now the Magnolia painted wall will go on like that, and I'm going to cut this strip out here as well, you see, going along there. That'll then sit on the top of there as well, and the lettering will sit on that. And I've got the lettering, I took 2 bits out to try and paint, but I found it easier just to paint it like that, and I've painted it red. So all good so far, he says. I reckon I'll have more than enough rendered wall there, so that will go. So that will get glued on. So I'm not actually wasting a lot here, making use of even the scrap bits. So we'll crack on with that, and we'll get this paint. I'm going to need 2.5 bits, by the way. I've measured it out, and I reckon, as I say, 2.5 bits. So we'll crack on with that. Well, this is the progress so far. Notice this here. I'll just zoom that camera in a bit and you can see. That'll be covered over by a support pillar, as will the join here. I managed to get the 2 screws out. The one that was down here wasn't doing anything, so it's come out. That's not sitting in right, but there's not much I can do about it now. However, the one that was here I've replaced with a couple of panel pins, so it's a nice smooth surface now. It is starting now to take a bit of shape, so I'm going to carry on and get the rest of the walling done, and then we'll look at the support pillars. I'll show you how I've done them, okay? So here we are, this is where we're up to so far, and there's the support pillar. Now the idea for that is actually simple. It's like the joint, these here to cover the joins on the SMS walling. Now what I've done was, I've cut some scrap greyboard and made 2 thin strips. I then, at the 3rd attempt, cut enough Magnolia painted rendered wall that I could wrap all the way around 2 of those that are joined together for the thickness. Once that was done, I then took that small strip there, cut enough of that to wrap round so it matches the white strip along there. and then I let that dry, and then I've went and just literally in the last minute used Yoo-hoo glue to glue it on. So that's up to date there. I'm now going to leave it for a minute in terms of this video, and the next clip, which will actually be filmed a couple of days after this one, I'll have got along here completed, and I'll be on to the roofing bit, and we'll also be building up the roller shutters, which I think will conveniently go in there and there, and then that'll leave enough room for the Wrangler advert there, and that along there, something like that anyway. So stay tuned and we'll see how we look. Now, different day, same weather, I think. Anyway, this is us getting ready to do the roof. So I don't know how well you can see that there, but that's my two roof panels that I'll be installing. Now, roofs do slope, and I've contacted Newcastle Falcons Rugby Union Club, who confirmed that the slope is away from the pitch, so it'll be something like that. So that's how I think we'll do it. It might not be as severe a drop as that, but what I've got to then do is use this here. This is Scale Model Scenery roofing felt, and it'll probably have to go on, I think, along that way. Or will it? Well, actually, is the roof sloping? It may actually go that way instead. I'm just trying to think here how I've done my own sheds. Yes, it'll be that way, so the water would dribble down, and it wouldn't, if you hit it that way, the water would dribble into the joint. So yes, it's this way is the correct way. Won't need all of it, but I'll need a fair bit of it. Unfortunately, it just comes in this sort of pack, so there's nothing you can do about it. And just before I start on that and then let you see the finished product, just a couple of shout outs to people, and we'll do some non-railway model ones first of all. A couple of people on YouTube, and as we're doing a Rugby Union ground here, and Nick Mullins on Twitter, and Nick Mullins. He's a Rugby Union and tennis commentator with BT Sport, ITV Sport and BBC Sport, and I just wonder if he would have ever visited this ground. The late Bill McLaren most certainly would have, I would imagine. Also check out a man who's just been confirmed as one of the new team captains on A Question of Sport, Ugo Monye. So check them out on Twitter. And when you're on Twitter as well, check out One Model Railway Network South East Latchmere. Give him a check out too. Right, I'm going to get on with this roof. Cut this to size, Yoo-hoo glue on the panels, stick that on, a couple of bits of scrap greyboard to allow a raising in the roof, and it should, he says, be all good. So let's go and have a look. That's the first bit on the roof now, and just see that there, and I've started to apply the lettering. Now the lettering is Scale Model Scenery's 8mm, and it's in Gill Sans, I believe it is the font, and you try and cut it out with a craft knife, although I haven't done it very well. I have made one little problem of my own manifestation, and that is that I miscounted the number of bees. There's 2 bees supplied in the pack, and I actually thought I only needed 2, but I actually needed 3 because of course Clydebridge has a bee in it. So what I'm going to try and do is adapt 2 peas as a bee, because I don't need the peas. So that's what I'll try and do. And the letters, once you cut them out, some rocket card, there we go, some rocket card glue on them, and then you go up and you've got a couple of seconds to just move them about into the right position. So I've got I've got to put Clydebridge on at that end, but it is coming on well there. So that'll be next, and then that'll be the lettering up and the roof done, and then we'll see where we go to from there. Well, while we're waiting on that all drying, I'm going to get these built. Now initially I'm going to have two, but if I chance my luck I might be able to make a third one. So what you do is, you take Roket card glue, and gosh, this is a plug for everything from SMS, isn't it? And it goes on there like that. And then what you would do is, you would put that bit onto there. Now the kit has 4, but I'm only going to need probably 2, possibly 3. So that would go on like that. And whilst we're doing this, it gives me an ample chance to tell you about a couple of layouts to check out. West Blythe MPD, which is set in Northumberland. If you give that a check out here on YouTube. Dudley Central is another one. If you give him a check out as well. He's set in the West Midlands PTE Central era. So go and give him a check out. And if you give my friend Andrew Wedge a check out as well, with Townhill Junction. Now that, as the name suggests, is set in West Fife at a sort of fictional location. So, but unlike my layout, Andrew's Townhill Junction, again, it's also on Instagram by the way, his is set in the privatisation era. So he hasn't been uploading much recently, but he is getting underway now with the track building, so I'm certainly looking forward to that. So that would sit above the door, like that. Now it's recommended that you paint this after you've made it, so what I'm going to do before I actually do stick it on is I'll do exactly as it says on the instructions. The instructions do not say glue your fingers together. I have never done so, and that is a record I'm anxious to actually keep, by the way. So what I now have to do is just simply get that onto there, and tell you what, I'm going to turn the camera off and then we'll carry on with it, it'll be easier. It's getting much closer now, isn't it, to being the finished article. You will see I've had to, what I had to do with the B over there is a bit awkward. We've got 2 roller shutter doors in, but I'm going to put a third one in. Reason for that is obviously I want to add a bit of realism to it. And after the 1971 Ibrox disaster, there were new rules put in place regarding entrances and exits at sports venues under the Safety at Sports Grounds Act of 1975, of which this would have actually come under. Now while I've got that drying, this is, I'll just put that down there for you. Why don't you join this? You can join it free of charge, or you can become a paid member and get more benefits. It's run by Scale Model Scenery and it's a Railway Modellers Club. Join today. I'm on there as well, Robert Clark 125, I believe I am, I think. Now this is fencing that you would normally see on streets. I've painted a couple of bits with metallic paint, and if it doesn't turn out right I'm going to have to use other paints, i.e. acrylic paints, and they're going to sit along here at that entrance there and outside that entrance, and one here, and I'm also going to put a bit here as well outside the station entrance too. I've also got these bins to make up, so I'm going to start making some of them up, and some of these will go on the streets and you see behind you. By the way, the links to all these products are actually in the description below, so if you are fancying buying any of them, please check out the links below. Right, well what we'll do is we'll crack on. That's going to take a long time to dry. I'm going to get these bins done. Well, we've not quite reached full time, or as we call it in rugby union, no side yet, but we're getting there. That's one of the railings done. I didn't use acrylic paint on that, I used silver paint, a silver modelling paint, and you can see how well that's come up there. And I had to make a weigh-in sign above it, and the only way to do that was to actually mount a bit of greyboard, put some more Magnolia on it, and then mount the letters on it, because it was that small. It would have been awkward otherwise. That one at the other end will have weighing, and this one here will have officials. These two bins aren't glued down yet, but that's what they're like. Now the ones that are going to go in the street scene are going to be painted black, but that'll be covered in another video. So I've got one more bin to make, which will sit around here somewhere, maybe about there, and the bits of railing up, and then those signs, and that will be it. So we're nearly there, folks. We're nearly there. Now, while I mind as well, do check out Dean Park Station and Everard Junction, both here on YouTube. They do frequent videos. And also check out on Facebook, Scottish Railway Modelers. You're welcome to join that as well. It's a free group on Facebook, and they'll be more than happy if you join. So, what I'm now going to do is get the railings painted, come back in tomorrow, but in your case in a few seconds, and we should hopefully be nearing completion. So there we have the completed Rugby Union ground. So I've got the scale model scenery bins now in place, and if you notice on that one, I've got a scrumpled up newspaper partly outside the bin. Along here we've got a crisp packet lying on the ground next to the bin, which would be typical. And if I just zoom in there a little bit, now that one's a bit squeaky with, but you'll actually just be able to notice that there's a a newspaper up against the railing there. So we've got the sign saying weigh in and officials there with bins next to them. We've got the Wrangler advert back in position, and we've got the Wrangler at Slater's advert back in position. And over here I've put another railing there, and I've got a bin there as well, and these items will complete this side of the station as well. I may have to put another bin in down there. I'll see how I go with that. The possibility of putting a railing in here I've not ruled out either, but I'll see how I go with that. All the items that I used to make this are from Scale Model Scenery, and the link to them is below. The Slater menswear and the Wrangler adverts, their logos have been downloaded by myself using an internet search engine, and then I've made up the lettering myself. And I've been reassured as well by the Argentinian Rugby Union that I am correct, that that Wrangler style advert was used at Rugby Union grounds in Argentina in 1990, so it does actually match. The only things that were not used in the making of this from SMS were actually the paints, the acrylic paints, which came from Ryman's stationers. So that's it. One replacement and a Rugby Union ground, and a bloody sight better as well. I'm planning in the future to turn my attention to here and do something better with this back scene, which will obviously include getting this covered over with something else. I have a plan for that. Again, just in its Scale Model Scenery, will be getting an order. And then I've got a plan for along here too. But as I say, that's all to come in the future. So I hope this is giving you some ideas as to what you could do. I actually got the idea for Rugby Union ground from a layout called Devonport Road. They had the back of a football ground, Devonport Rovers. So that's how I got that idea there. So do an internet search for that layout as well, Devonport Road. If you've enjoyed doing this, then as I say, why not join the Railway Modelers Club that I told you about earlier on. The full details are in the link below, and I've obviously showed you the leaflet earlier on in the video. And share your photos of what you've been doing on your layout. Everybody will love to see it. Or even better, start up your own YouTube channel and have your own Facebook page for your layout. And let everybody see what you've been doing, and people will be absolutely delighted to see your efforts. So without much further ado, all that remains for me to say is thank you very much indeed for watching, and please join me next time for the next video where we'll be doing something else on the layout. See you soon. Bye bye for now.